Hello everyone, welcome to the online course on VLSI design. The topic of this video is pass transistor logic. In this video, first we shall discuss the concept of pass transistors and highlight the main properties of this logic family along with some example. And in the later part of our discussion we shall focus on one important implementation of pass transistor logic, that is complementary pass transistor logic. So let's start. We have already seen this slide on logic style classification for VLSI circuits, and here we see that pass transistor logic comes under the category of static logic family. It means that at any instance of time the output node of any pass transistor logic gate is connected either to the VDD or the ground rail. This node is never floating. Now let's discuss what is pass transistor logic. A pass transistor logic is in fact a popular and widely used alternative to CMOS logic style, and the basic objective of this logic is that it attempts to reduce the number of transistors to implement any given Boolean function. And as we have already discussed that a given complementary CMOS implementation of a n variable Boolean function requires 2n transistors, whereas the pseudo NMOS logic requires n plus 1 transistors. In contrast to these two logic styles, the pass transistor logic requires only n transistors to implement an n variable Boolean function. Another property of pass transistor logic is that ratioless, which means that the output voltage levels are independent of the relative aspect ratios of the transistors. Pass transistor logic also consumes no static power, and a very important characteristic of pass transistor logic is that in this logic style the primary inputs are not only connected to the gate terminals of transistors but also their source or drain terminals, and this is in contrast to static CMOS design where the primary inputs only drive the gate terminals of pull up and pull down transistors. So this is a general construction of pass transistor logic gate. We have a switch network which consists of a number of pass transistors which may be NMOS or PMOS transistors. Practically only NMOS transistors are used in pass transistor logic due to a couple of reasons. First is that NMOS transistors are manufactured on a silicon wafer in a straightforward manner. As you know that in order to make a PMOS transistor, first an N well is created, whereas the NMOS transistors are directly fabricated on a P-type substrate. Second reason is that in NMOS transistors the current is due to the flow of electrons, whereas in PMOS transistor the current is due to the flow of holes, and as the mobility of electrons is 2 to 3 times higher than that of protons, therefore for a given biasing condition an NMOS transistor provides a higher current as compared to a PMOS transistor, which results in a high switching speed of the circuit. So these are the reasons because of which only NMOS transistors are used in pass transistor logic. Now let's consider an example of making two input AND gate using pass transistor logic. Here we have two NMOS transistors and the primary inputs are connected not only to their gates but also to their drain terminal, and the output is being taken from one of their common terminal. So let's see how this circuit works. When input B is a logic 1, the top NMOS transistor turns on and the input A is passed to the output node F. So F is equal to A when B is equal to 1, and in Boolean written as F equal to AB. In the other case, when the input B is equal to binary 0, the upper transistor turns off, whereas the lower transistor, which is being driven by B complement, it turns on and passes a constant 0 logic level to the output node F. You might be wondering that why we have connected this redundant transistor, while the AND boolean function can also be implemented using this transistor only. And the answer to this question is that as pass transistor logic is a static logic family, therefore for all possible input combinations, the output node must always be connected to either a VDD or a ground supply rail through a low impedance path. Now imagine when B is equal to 0 and we have only this transistor will go into cutoff mode and the output node would be floating. So to avoid this situation, we have connected another transistor which is being driven by B complement, and it passes a constant 0 level to the output whenever B is equal to 0. As far as complexity of this design is concerned, this logic gate requires 4 transistors. 2 of them are NMOS transistor, and to implement B complement we require an inverter which itself consists of 2 transistors. So the total complexity of this AND gate using pass transistor logic is 4 transistors. And if we compare it to the complementary CMOS logic implementation, a complementary CMOS AND gate requires 6 transistors for its implementation. So this demonstrates the advantage of pass transistor logic in terms of complexity. Another feature is that pass transistor logic has a bidirectional data flow. It means that since the nodes of NMOS transistors are symmetrical, so this side of the gate can serve as the input as well as the output. It means that the output node can become an input. Similarly, an input node can become an output node. Now let's discuss some of the limitations of this logic family. As we know that NMOS transistor passes a strong 0 logic level but a weak 1 logic level. It means that let's suppose we have an NMOS pass transistor and we have its terminal A and apply a constant VDD to A, and also switch on this transistor by applying a VDD over the gate. So we would be expecting that the source side of transistor should also be charged to VDD after some time, but this does not happen. The maximum output voltage that can be achieved on the other side of transistor is VDD minus VTN, because NMOS transistor passes a weak 1 logic level. And this situation is also demonstrated in the transient response of charging up a node. Assume that this node is initially at 0 volt, and we observe that the potential difference between gate and source is maximum in this case, which is VDD, and as a result of this node tends to charge quickly. But as this voltage increases, the charging effect becomes slow, and because of this the tail end of transient has a very slow response. The maximum value of this curve is about 1.8, which is equal to VDD minus VTN, assuming VDD equal to 2.5 volt and VTN equal to 0.7 volt. So this situation demonstrates that NMOS only pass transistor logic is non-regenerative. It means that the signal levels gradually degrade after passing through each stage of pass transistor. So as a result of this, pass transistor gates cannot be cascaded by connecting the output of a pass gate to the input of another pass transistor, because each successive transistor reduces the voltage level. So here we have depicted another scenario as from the previous discussion, that Vx, the voltage at the output node, is not fully pulled up to VDD, but the maximum level reached is by VDD. Another important effect is that if the body terminal is connected to the ground, then this transistor also suffers from body effect, because as the source terminal charges up, we have a positive voltage between source and body. As a result of this, the effective threshold voltage of this transistor increases. So the maximum value is VDD minus VTN, where VTN is equal to this quantity, increased because of this body effect. So if we have a cascade of 3 NMOS pass transistors and we apply VDD at one end and a high voltage on all of their gates, then the maximum voltage at this point would be VDD minus VTN1. The maximum voltage at the output of second transistor would be this quantity minus the threshold voltage of this transistor, which would be VDD minus VTN1 minus VTN2, and so on. So this is the main limitation of pass transistor logic, that whenever we have a simple cascade of pass transistors, then the voltage level will degrade after each stage. So pass transistor gates should be avoided in a cascade like this. For a high performance design, we have another option of pass transistor logic, which is known as complementary pass transistor logic, denoted as CPL, or differential pass transistor logic, denoted as DPL. And the basic idea of this logic style is to have normal as well as complementary input, and also to produce normal as well as complementary outputs. So for CPL of any given logic function, we have two networks of pass transistors. First network implements a normal function, whereas the second network implements its inverse function. Normal and complementary outputs are simultaneously produced. So here we have examples of complementary pass transistor logic. We have discussed the AND gate already. So in case of CPL, we have a AND NAND combination, and it produces F equal to AB and F complement AB whole complement. So here you can easily verify all the truth tables of AND and NAND gates with the help of these input connections. Similarly, we have a OR NOR gate and XOR XNOR gate combination. An important advantage of this logic style is that it is modular. It means that all basic gates are built on the same topology, like you have the same arrangement of transistors in them. The only difference is that the inputs are permuted. By a specific arrangement of inputs, you can obtain the desired Boolean function in normal and its complementary form. We have a number of properties of complementary pass transistor logic. It is differential logic. So complementary data inputs and outputs are always available. Because of this, we do not need extra inverters at the output. This logic is a static logic family, because the output nodes are always connected to VDD or ground through a low resistance path. A CPL design is modular, which means that all gates are built using the same topology of pass transistors, and to obtain the desired logical function, the inputs are permuted in a specific manner. And since here we can see that in order to realize an XOR and XNOR function, we have a very simple connection of transistors, whereas implementing an XOR gate using complementary CMOS logic has a very high complexity as compared to this design. And we know that an XOR operation is widely used in design of adder circuits, so this approach is particularly attractive for high performance adders. Another advantage is that in case of CPL we have a very small number of transistors in series as compared to complementary CMOS logic, where we had a situation that the propagation delay was quadratically dependent on the fan ins because of having a large number of transistors in series. But in this case we have a very few transistors in series, so the CPL gates are faster as compared to other logic families. Also we have two limitations. Since this logic is differential, so we also have to route the normal as well as complementary signals, so this causes an additional routing overhead. CPL gates still have some static power dissipation problems. To explore the concept of differential pass transistor logic, I leave an activity for you, and that is you have to design a full adder using differential logic. So this is a part of assignment which you can try to do by yourself. And this concludes our video. We'll see you in the next video.